and welcome everyone. Today I am here to discuss water pollution. This module is under the paper Environmental Health. This module has been developed by a team, and the team members are myself, Dr. Madhutandra Sarkar as content writer, Dr. V.M. Gupta as paper coordinator, and Dr. C.P. Mishra as principal investigator as well as content reviewer. This module has been developed with the intention that after completing this module, the students will be able to define water pollution and state the indicators of water pollution, to describe the various sources of water pollution, to list the different types of water pollutants, their sources and effects, to understand the health impacts of water pollution. They will be able to understand the measures for prevention and control of water pollution. You all know that water is one of the most important resources in the earth. It is not only vital for human health and well-being, but it is also important for preservation of our environment. However, increasing population, rapid urbanization and industrialization, agricultural development, and climate change have significantly affected the quality and quantity of water. It has been estimated that globally 748 million people do not have access to improved drinking water sources. In 2012, an estimated 2,523 million people, that is more than 1/3 of the global population, lacked access to an improved sanitation facility. Globally, improving water, sanitation and hygiene could prevent up to 9.1% of all diseases and 6.3% of all deaths. And diarrhea represents a significant share of this burden. Importantly, water pollution not only affects human beings, it also affects animals, plants, and the wider environment. Next, how to define water pollution? Water pollution can be defined as the introduction of substances, that is pollutants, into the water bodies that affects the physical, chemical, and biological properties of water, which in turn decreases the utility of water and causes harmful effects to human health or to animals, plants, and the wider environment. And not only the introduction of substances into the water bodies, even if the concentration of substances that are naturally present in water increases, then also the water is said to be polluted. This picture depicts that water is getting polluted from different sources, like wastewater coming from residential buildings, industrial effluents coming from the factories, and wastewater is coming from marketplaces, etc. Coming to the indicators of water pollution, there are different indicators which can be used to determine whether water is polluted or not. And if these indicators reach beyond a specified level in the water, then that water can be said as polluted. And these indicators can be categorized as physical indicators, chemical indicators, and biological indicators. Physical indicators include color, odor, turbidity, taste, temperature, and electrical conductivity of water. Chemical indicators are carbonates, sulfates, chlorides, fluorides, nitrates, and metal ions present in water. And biological indicators are algae, fungi, viruses, protozoa, and bacteria. Physical indicators are good indicators of water pollution. For example, color and turbidity provide visible evidences that water is polluted. Chemical indicators, that is carbonates, sulfates, nitrates, etc., form the total dissolved solids present in water. Biological indicators give an indirect indication of the amount of pollution in water. Water pollution may cause a reduction in the population of both plant and animals. Sources of water pollution can be classified as point sources and non-point sources. Point sources are identifiable points or places such as a pipe or channel which discharge directly into a body of water. For example, pollution from wastewater treatment plants, factories and industrial plants, latrines, septic tanks, or piped discharge from burn areas. So, point sources of water pollution is easy to control, whereas non-point sources are sources where pollution arises over a wider area and it is often difficult to locate the exact place of origin. For example, fertilizer or pesticide washed from a field by rain may seep into a river or stream at many places, both in the surface or through the soil. Other examples of non-point sources of pollution are pollution from construction sites and other land disturbances. So, non-point sources of pollution are difficult to control. This picture depicts point and non-point sources of water pollution. Here you can see that industrial waste treatment facility and sewage treatment plant have been shown as point sources of pollution. Non-point sources of pollution as shown in these pictures are water runoff from lawns, from cropland and also from barnyards. And you can see that contaminants are leaching to groundwater, causing groundwater pollution. Pollution from non-point sources is also known as diffuse pollution. And as I have already said, the problems in identifying the exact point of origin make non-point sources much more difficult to control. Groundwater pollution is particularly problematic than surface water pollution because once polluted, groundwater may remain contaminated for many years. Coming to the types of water pollutants. Water pollutants can be classified as sediments and suspended solids, plant nutrients, biological pollutants, and chemical pollutants. First, I will discuss on sediments and suspended solids. These include inorganic material like mud and silt, as well as organic matter. These pollutants enter the water bodies from land cultivation, construction demolition, mining operations, as well as human and animal waste. Sediments and suspended solids has several effects on water quality and the living organisms. They can suffocate fish and other aquatic organisms. They can reduce quality of drinking water for humans and aquatic environment for marine life. They can reduce light penetration into the water and they can affect the growth of photosynthetic plants, and they can cause unpleasant odors and unsightly conditions of water. Next is plant nutrients, that is phosphorus and nitrogen, and the sources are residential areas and agricultural runoff. Plant nutrients, that is phosphorus and nitrogen, they can cause algal bloom and eutrophication. What is algal bloom? Algal bloom means a sudden increase in the population of aerobic algae. Nutrients in large quantities can encourage excess plant growth in the water, causing this phenomenon. Next, eutrophication. What is eutrophication? This is the process by which a water body acquires high nutrient level. It promotes increased population of aquatic plants. The decay of the plant material by bacteria can cause deoxygenation of the water, followed by suffocation of fish and other aquatic organisms. Next, biological pollutants, which include bacteria, viruses, protozoa, and helminths. And the sources are sewage, human and animal waste, natural and urban runoff from land, and industrial waste. They can cause depletion of dissolved oxygen and cause foul odor. And also they can cause waterborne diseases. Chemical pollutants include heavy metals like arsenic, lead, mercury, chromium, and pesticides. They can enter the water bodies from urban waste, industrial processes, and agricultural uses. Heavy metals can harm aquatic organisms and humans. They can slow development, result in birth defects, and some are even carcinogenic. Crops, if irrigated by polluted water, can be affected by the accumulation of these chemicals. Pesticides can potentially harm environment and human health. Next, pollutants can be classified by their sources also, like sewage, which contains decomposable organic matter and pathogenic agents, industrial and trade waste, which contain toxic agents ranging from metal salts to complex synthetic organic chemicals, agricultural pollutants, which comprise of fertilizers and pesticides, and physical pollutants, namely heat, that is thermal pollutants, and radioactive pollutants. Then the most important part is you should know health impacts or hazards of water pollution. Water pollution can cause biological hazards as well as chemical hazards. Biological hazards are those caused by the presence of infective agents. It can cause different viral diseases like viral hepatitis A, hepatitis E, poliomyelitis, rotavirus diarrhea, bacterial diseases such as typhoid, paratyphoid fever, bacillary dysentery, E. coli diarrhea, and cholera, protozoal diseases such as amoebiasis, giardiasis, helminthic diseases, ascariasis, trichuriasis, hydatid disease, leptospiral disease, that is Weil's disease, which is a severe form of leptospirosis. It also caused by the presence of aquatic host like snail, which cause schistosomiasis, cyclops, which cause trachanthos. Biological hazards also caused by the presence of aquatic host, like it can be caused by snail, which cause schistosomiasis, cyclops causes guinea worm disease as well as fish tapeworm disease. Water pollution can also cause chemical hazards, like deficiency of fluoride lesser than 1 milligram per liter results in dental caries, and excess of fluoride can result in dental fluorosis among children and skeletal fluorosis among adults and elderly. Deficiency of iodine results in goiter. Excess of nitrates can result in cyanosis among infants, that is infantile methemoglobinemia. Dissolved organic impurities like sulfates and chlorides can cause diarrhea and gastric disturbances like dyspepsia. Salts of lead, iron, and zinc are responsible for constipation and colicky abdomen. Excess of lead can result in lead poisoning. Inorganic suspended impurities such as mica in hilly regions can cause diarrhea. And hardness of water is unsuitable for boilers used in industries. Apart from biological and chemical hazards, water pollution can also cause certain water-associated diseases or hazards. Like diseases resulting from contact with water are infections of eyes, ears, nose, throat, vulvovaginitis, and ringworm infections of foot. Water-washed diseases. What are water-washed diseases? The diseases transmitted because of inadequate use of water are called water-washed diseases. For example, shigellosis, trachoma, conjunctivitis, and scabies. Mosquito-borne diseases are also classified as water-associated disease because water is the breeding place for mosquitoes. Next, you should know the prevention and control of water pollution. As I have already said, water is the most important resource in the world. So we should protect this resource. So water pollution should be prevented and controlled by natural measures, engineering measures, educational measures, and legal measures. Natural measures of water pollution is self-purification of water that comprises of a series of physical and biochemical processes. Physical processes include dilution, sedimentation, aeration, and ultraviolet irradiation. Dilution is a process by which the water pollutants spread out so that its concentration in water significantly reduces. Sedimentation is a process by which suspended objects can get settled in water. Aeration means by aeration there will be exchange of gases between air and the water body. So there will be exchange of oxygen from air, and in turn it will be exchanged with the carbon dioxide and methane from the water. And if water body is exposed to sunlight, it will get ultraviolet irradiation which has germicidal effect. Biochemical processes include oxidation and reduction. Biochemical process of purification is carried out by aerobic bacteria, anaerobic bacteria, and also by protozoa, algae, and several aquatic species normally present in water. Aerobic bacteria, they initiate the oxidation process. Anaerobic bacteria, they initiate the reduction process. Water-washed diseases. The diseases transmitted because of inadequate use of water are called water-washed diseases. For example, shigellosis, trachoma, conjunctivitis, and scabies. Mosquito-borne diseases are also classified as water-associated disease because water is the breeding place for mosquitoes. Next, you should know the prevention and control of water pollution. As I have already said, water is the most important resource in the world. So we should protect this resource. So water pollution should be prevented and controlled by natural measures, engineering measures, educational measures, and legal measures. Natural measures of water pollution is self-purification of water that comprises of a series of physical and biochemical processes. Physical processes include dilution, sedimentation, aeration, and ultraviolet irradiation. Dilution is a process by which the water pollutants spread out so that its concentration in water significantly reduces. Sedimentation is a process by which suspended objects can get settled in water. Aeration means by aeration there will be exchange of gases between air and the water body. So there will be exchange of oxygen from air, and in turn it will be exchanged with the carbon dioxide and methane from the water. And if water body is exposed to sunlight, it will get ultraviolet irradiation, which has germicidal effect. Biochemical processes include oxidation and reduction. Biochemical process of purification is carried out by aerobic bacteria, anaerobic bacteria, and also by protozoa, algae, and several aquatic species normally present in water. Aerobic bacteria, they initiate the oxidation process. Anaerobic bacteria, they initiate the reduction process. However, self-purification of water is a time-consuming process that lasts for several months, and the pace of purification is reflected by the biochemical oxygen demand of water. Biochemical oxygen demand of water is the amount of oxygen required by a water body for complete stabilization of organic matter by aerobic process of nitrification. And if the organic waste, if there is greater amount of organic waste in water, there will be greater amount of requirement for dissolved oxygen, and the biochemical oxygen demand value will be increased. Coming to the engineering measures, it consists of treatment of community waste, treatment of industrial effluents, recycling of industrial effluents, and incineration of toxic matter. Treatment of community waste. Community waste can be treated by conventional methods of sewage disposal followed by safe discharge of effluent into a water course. Treatment of industrial effluents, which consist of dissolved as well as suspended matters, organic as well as inorganic pollutants. It can be treated in addition to the conventional primary and secondary treatment with tertiary treatment for detoxification. Recycling of industrial effluents is necessary when industrial effluents are toxic or are expensive to treat. Recycling means the industrial effluents will be directed back to the industry for reuse, and after that it will be safely disposed of so that it will not cause water pollution. Incineration of toxic matter is necessary when it is bioresistant and difficult to treat. Next, very important for prevention and control of water pollution is educational measures. Education of people on water pollution, its impact on human health, and the urgency of preventing it, because it can facilitate prevention and control of water pollution at all levels, like community, industry, and agricultural levels. At the community level, the people should be educated about the unhygienic behavior so that water pollution can be prevented. At the industrial level, the managers and the owners of the industries, they should be educated, they should be motivated so that they can avoid, they can abstain from irresponsible practices which can cause water pollution from industrial effluents. At the agricultural levels, the farmers, cultivators, different categories of agricultural workers. They should be educated about the careful use of pesticides and fertilizers so that it will not spill over into the water bodies. And lastly, the legal measures. To protect water, a stringent enforcement system is necessary because environmental laws are meant to set standards for what people and institutions must do to control or prevent environmental pollution, including water. Next, the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act. Water pollution has become a very important problem in India. So to protect water, this act has been enacted in 1974 to provide for the prevention and control of water pollution and for the maintaining or restoring of wholesomeness of water in the country. This act was later amended in 1988. I want to mention another act in this regard, that is the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Cess Act 1977. This act was enacted in 1977 to provide for the levy and collection of a cess on water consumed by persons operating and carrying on certain types of industrial activities. This cess is collected with a view to augment the resources of the Central Water Board and the state water boards for the prevention and control of water pollution that are constituted under the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. This act was last amended in 2003. So to summarize, water is one of the most important resources in the earth. Water pollution we can define as the contamination of streams, lakes, seas, underground water or oceans by substances which are harmful for living beings. And not only the introduction of substances in the water bodies. If the concentration of substances naturally present in water increases, then also the water is said to be polluted. And the two most important factors for water pollution are industrialization and population explosion. Water may be called polluted when the physical parameters, that is color, odor, turbidity, taste, chemical parameters, that is carbonates, sulfates, nitrates, metal ions, and biological parameters, that is bacteria, viruses, protozoa, reach beyond a specified concentration in water. And various sources of water pollution are sewage, industrial pollutants, agricultural pollutants, and physical pollutants like thermal pollutants and radioactive pollutants. And the sources of water pollution can be limited to a point source or spread over large areas, that is non-point sources. Water pollutants refer to the substances which are capable of making any physical, chemical or biological change in the water body. These have undesirable effect on living organisms. Water pollution can cause biological, that is waterborne diseases, as well as chemical hazards to human health. However, as this is a very precious resource, we should protect water. Water pollution can be controlled by engineering, educational, legal, and natural measures. So thank you for visiting EPG Pathshala and listening to this module.